Hey, it's Jane from the Compassion Project, and I am super excited to be here with Vanessa McWilliams, an incredible girl that I was lucky enough to find on Facebook and reach out to her. So, a little bit about Vanessa. She lives in Calgary, Alberta, with her husband, Greg, and two boys, Caden and Justin. They're 13 and 10. Vanessa is, as described by her friends, I love this, brave, kind, compassionate, strong, inspiring, and beautiful. Got it. The friends know, right? And Vanessa is a self-esteem, inspirational speaker and personal development coach. She's passionate about helping women know they are beautiful just as they are. She helps them embrace their authentic selves so they can confidently show up in the world. Vanessa is also an advocate for alopecia. She lost her hair when she was 9. And as a former wig wearer, it wasn't until she embraced her alopecia goddessness that she found her freedom and self-respect. I absolutely love that. She's the co-author of a book called The Missing Piece, where her chapter is on her journey with alopecia. And she's soon to publish a new book called Perfectly Imperfect. Amazing, Vanessa. You're incredible. I'm super excited to have you on the Compassion Project because I just think it's so important for all of us to share our stories and how we're coping. And yeah, so maybe just kind of share what your life was like before. I know you're busy and how it's changed with social distancing.
Oh, wow. First of all, I have to say every time I hear someone do my intro, like do my whatever intro, I'm like, wow, this girl's amazing. Then I'm like, oh yeah, it's me. And every time
I kind of
brings you down to reality. No,
yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. I'm super passionate about talking about women and empowerment and everything, just from my own journey and how I changed my own life. But especially now, dealing with this pandemic and everybody, we're not in the same boat. Everyone has different circumstances and stuff, but just in the pandemic boat, I think we're all in the same boat as far as connection and seeking certainty and seeking, control and just looking for something that isn't really there. And it's really interesting to me to kind of watch the social experiment as a development coach or life coach, just to sit back and watch what's happening. And it's given me a more of a powerful drive to send my message out farther and harder and just keep doing what I'm doing, because I think right now it's so important to take the opportunity wherever you are in your own journey, just to come back to self. We've got the time. Some of us don't. We're all in different boats, but just to look at it in a different perspective sometimes, and really use the time to our advantage, just to do, self-reflection and self-work, because we all need a little bit of that. God knows, at any time, not even during this.
A friend of mine that I had done one of the chats with a couple of weeks ago, Alexandra Babel, she said she's in solitary refinement. I'm like,
yes,
I love that. You have to go inward and you have to heal. It's a chance to heal ourselves, right? Vanessa and I were having an amazing conversation before we went live about just our own personal journeys and stuff. So were you busy before, like speaking engagements and a lot of things on the go? And then how did it feel when you found out things were closing and things were shutting down?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm probably one of the very few people who is so happy that this all happened, because it's given me the time I desperately needed to really focus on my message and my reach and my big goals. So as a busy mom, I have 2 young boys, and we are so busy between myself doing live events and doing coaching one-on-one and group coaching, etc., writing my book, doing all the things I want to do to get my message out into the world was one thing. But then my children, it was hockey and activities and just craziness in that aspect. And then my husband works on the road, so he's gone most of the time. So most of it fell on me. which is totally fine. But and I had a day job on top of it. So I was some days laying in bed at night going, I did all the things that I had to do today, but I didn't have any time for me.
Yeah.
And I'm big into scheduling. I do time management, and it's hard sometimes when you're a young family and you're a mom raising kids to find time for yourself. And I get all my coaching clients to do it. I do it myself, but there's just sometimes isn't a lot of time. And I literally for 2 years have been praying for time to just go balls to the wall on what I want to do, and enough of this, day job stuff that's paying the bills. And I'm literally getting paid to stay home now. So I have been using it to my advantage as best I can, and it's working. I'm gaining traction. So I'm actually very happy. I'm not happy with everything that's going on. That makes me sound like a gigantic asshole, but I'm happy in my own life. I've had a chance to really take a step back and focus on connection with my kids and business. So
connection with your kids, and it's so important. And I actually, because I have been talking to quite a few people, and it's interesting with these chats, how many people, when you really get down to it, actually are saying, you know what? I now can breathe. My life was crazy. I was running here and here and here on all over. And now I actually can take time to do what I want to do. And I think the first 2 weeks we were all in kind of a really
shocking days.
Yeah. But now what's it been? 6 weeks? 6 weeks.
Yeah, something like that. 7. Yeah.
I know. So anyway, with your boys, how's the homeschooling going?
Oh, it's going great.
Oh, that's good.
It's actually going great. Yeah. The biggest thing that I've done, so when all of this happened, the first thing I did was I threw out my schedule for the month back in April. I was very scheduled to the point, I needed to be, just to be able to balance work, day job, clients, kids. And the first thing I did was throw out my schedule and just get rid of everything that I didn't have to do. So of course the must-dos are my client schedule, stuff like that. Kids' activities were off, everything got canceled, so we got rid of that. And homeschooling, the biggest thing that I've done, I think, is just to make it a positive experience, is just keep with our routine. So in the morning, the kids sleep in. I'm not eager to wake them up at 7 o'clock in the morning anymore because I don't want to deal with bears.
Yeah.
But they sleep in, and I've just told them from day one, routine is still in place. You still get up, you have breakfast, brush your teeth, get dressed, go in the office, work on what you need to, and then you can have free time to do whatever you want. And I've just let go of the need to control everything.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
I've just let it go, because the first week was really scary, trying to figure out how am I going to juggle all of this. And I was basically digging, or I was pulling, and my kids were digging their feet in the sand going, but we want to play more video games. And at first I was like, it's way too much screen time. But then when I actually sat down and talked with them, both of my kids said, but it's the only way that we can talk to our friends.
I know.
So it was listening, right? Asking what they really needed and listening to it, and then just letting go. So I'm like, they're 13 and 10. If they're not fighting with me or each other, then it's a win. So,
yeah, I know. That's good.
Yeah.
And how are you doing, with your mindset? I mean, because I'm sure, I think I read something about you. What was it? Oh, the self-care. I loved it.
Yeah.
You're really into self-care take care of yourself first.
100%. It's the whole oxygen mask on an airplane. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. So I'm a huge advocate for self-care, and it has to be, self-care can sometimes get misstrued, I guess you could say. Self-care, the definition is whatever you want to make it, but it's always things that are good for you, feel good, but sometimes it's also things that don't necessarily feel good but are good for you. So self-care can be anything from bubble baths to having a phone conversation with your friend to reading a great book, any of those things. But it's also booking doctor's appointments for yourself and going to them. It's also going to the dentist. It's also all the things we don't want to do but are good for us. So I've been really focusing on drinking more water and drinking less wine. Pro tip, drinking gallons of wine watching The Bachelor is not self-care, ladies. I'm sorry. You're going to hate me after saying that. But it's not. It can be. I shouldn't say that. It can be.
A little bit.
Every night is not.
True.
That's called avoidance.
Yeah, I know. And then I know it's like connecting with the girlfriends and just that social, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It's so important to set up. Do you set up Zooms with friends, or what do you?
Yeah, we have my best friend and I talk every day on the phone. She has 2 babies at home under the age of 2. So she and I connect every single day. And, you know, my other friends, I have a team of people that I work with that we do events and stuff. And we have a Zoom meeting every week on Sunday mornings. And we all check in with each other for an hour and, you know, figure out what we all need. And yeah, it's great. It's just trying to keep connected to everybody is, you know, it's tough because everyone still has schedules, but it's ensuring you make the time and you tell people. I think the number one thing right now is telling people and reaching out to people when you actually need somebody. That's the biggest thing I found is I've had many of my friends reach out to me and just say like, I need Vanessa time. And I'm like, absolutely. Like, I'm here. I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do the same thing, right? Because it's very quick when you start to feel stuck inside and you just start to feel alone and everything like that. It can just very quickly turn into feeling isolated. And so that's when, you know, getting outside.
Women can self-sabotage. That's when they can get down themselves. And I think that's a really important thing to talk about too, is that helping women, like you say, to just embrace. You're all about women embracing who they are, loving their imperfections. And I think it's huge right now for women to learn to love themselves.
Yes. And it's, my big thing is not even getting, like, my big thing is just showing that it's possible. And just like showing, it just takes a couple of small steps to begin the process versus like, I have lots of people that message me like, how did you do it? And I'm like, it's just so easy. You just have to get out of thinking about it too much. But just
how did you start loving yourself? You mean, is that what they?
Yeah.
So when did you, like, I know you had alopecia when you were 9 started, and then you wore wigs. When were you just like, I'm not wearing the wig anymore? Like, this is who I am.
So about 10 years ago, I created a company. I had a really bad experience when I went into a salon to purchase a wig for myself. And the salon owner embarrassed me in front of a salon full of women, making a comment, complimenting me on how beautiful my wig looked. And at that point in my life, I didn't want anyone to know I wore a wig. Like, I was dead set on, I was so ashamed of who I was, like, bad. And so when she said this comment, I saved my tears until I got outside the salon. I didn't say a word to her. I was like, you're not going to see me cry. And I got out into my truck and I called my mom and she was like, you know more than anybody what it's like to have to deal with this. So what can you do about it? And that next day, I created a company that I had desperately needed myself in my life, but could never find. And I was a mobile wig salon. So I bought a stock of wigs. I took them in a little cool suitcase to people's homes and I did in-home consultations and I helped women pick out wigs in the comfort of their own home so they wouldn't have to feel bad about going in and seeing other women getting their hair done in salons. Long story short, over 6 years, I found my own confidence growing in who I was because I was doing a really good thing and I was helping people. But I was also connecting with people in a way I never had before. And so as I was helping people, they were helping me. And it was the last year of doing my wig company that I looked at my books and I was like, holy shit, I am losing money. Like, what is happening? I am losing what? And I took a couple steps back and I reflected and I was like, I am coaching women out of buying wigs from me. And this is my livelihood, my business. I was like, oh my God, I'm in the wrong company. I'm not doing this for the right reasons anymore. So it took me about a year. I sold my company to a girl who worked for me and she still runs it. It's amazing. It's still helping women the way I wanted it to. But I got to the point where there was a very gray area that I couldn't, at that point, I was really embracing who I was, and I was seeing for myself that I don't have to wear a wig to feel beautiful. And I didn't want to show up in the world hiding who I truly was anymore, because that's how it really felt. That I was ashamed of who I really was. And I was at that point starting to help little girls and finding empowerment for them. And I was like, I can't say I'm a CEO of a wig company, but then standing on stages coaching women saying, you're beautiful as you are, my integrity just, it wasn't okay for me any longer. So I sold it, and I jumped in with both feet into motivational speaking and life coaching, confidence coaching, and doing live events and personal development, and the rest is history.
I admire you so much, because we all have imperfections. We all have insecurities. We all have a side of us that is, I believe we all have a side of us that, I'm not going to say damaged, but that inner child of things we've grown up, and we can put on our happy face and we can go out in the world, but no one knows. You go out and people can see, like yours is right there. Oh, you have alopecia. Or it's where some people can hide that inner, right? Mm-hmm. So to embrace that must have just felt like free.
It was scary as hell.
I guess.
Let's have open talk here. It was really scary. The first time I went out into the world without wearing a wig, I was terrified to even go out wearing a hat. And I took baby steps, because my whole life I was bullied and ridiculed my entire childhood because of being bald. Like, bullied to the point I've tried taking my own life twice.
And my goodness.
It's okay. I know. It's okay though.
The world can be so mean. It's so hard for me. Kids can be so cruel.
I know. And for me, it was like, that's one of my driving motivators is 9-year-old me, because of all of what she had to deal with. And I will never give up, because if I give up, I'm giving up on her. And I know how much she's gone through, and I'm not giving up on all of that wasted energy, right? Like, I'm harnessing it now for good. Feel like a superhero, harnessing it for the good. But I lost my train of thought. The first time I went out into the public without wearing my wig, I put a hat on, and I just thought baby steps. Like, if I go out and I go balls to the wall and something happens, it's going to hurt my self-confidence. And I can't control what other people think or do towards me, but I can control how I show up in the world.
Yeah.
And so I just got in my truck. I drove to Tim Hortons. I went through the drive-thru. I didn't even get out of my vehicle. And I ordered a donut and a coffee. And when I pulled up to pay or whatever, the lady in the window, she leaned out and she went, "Oh my gosh, you have the cutest hat on today." And I thought, praise Jesus. It's a message. This is good. And I cried. I sat there, and she probably thought I was losing it. But I looked at her, I was like, you have no idea how much that means to me. Thank you so much. And I drove home in tears. And that was the first day I went out into the world. And ever since, I've almost not put on a wig since then. I've worn one for speaking engagements and stuff, just depending on what speaking event I'm at.
Yeah. And
I usually remove it halfway through, but I don't wear it for beauty purposes or anything anymore.
It's interesting, because for me, I guess I had this, like, oh, it's freeing. Take off the hair, it's freeing. Yeah. It's almost for me putting this romantic thing on you, like, oh, and the reality is like, no, it's scary, it's hard. Like, and then I really have to put myself in your shoes and shave my head and walk out. I don't even know. Like, this is a security blanket.
Yeah. Well, and don't get me wrong, it is freeing if you wear one at the end of the day. It's like taking off a bra. It's because they're hot and they can be itchy and stuff. But yeah, it's the fear of the unknown. And that's what I really focus on with women and coaching, is just teaching women, like, to show your vulnerability in the world is really, really hard. But you don't have to, like, I don't coach women into walking around in bathing suits. Like, you don't have to do that to prove anything. I'm not out to prove anything. Yeah. But for me, it's so important for me to show up in the world as who I truly am, to make the impact that I want to make. Because I look at the little girls who I don't coach them, but I help, walk their parents through the alopecia journey. And, I'm an advocate for them. And I look at them and I'm like, what disservice am I doing to these 5 and 6-year-old little girls if I'm walking out to meet them wearing a wig?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's total personal choice. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Yeah. But for me, I can't. Ooh, there's a tiny little bug from my plant flying in my face. You know you're live when. I was like, he's coming for me. But I look at them and I think, like, I can't cover up for them. Like, I need to make a change in the world, even if it's a small one, just to show it's okay to be different. We're all different. I'm not different. We're all different. Like, it gets me fired up. I get feisty
because people look at you and think you're different, but we're all the same. I know.
We're all the same. Like, just because I have no hair doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right. It just gives me the ability to let people, like, to make it. I don't make people do anything, but it gives me the ability to have people drop their own armor and see that I'm being vulnerable. And so it invites people to be vulnerable around me. Yeah. So it gives me this really amazing gift to, shed the bullshit and let's actually talk about what's happening, because the surface stuff is not what's happening. It's always deep-rooted trauma, and it's always deep-rooted conditioning from the people who came before us and our parents and the people we look up to. It has nothing to do with what we look like, but that's just how people feel safe to represent it, right?
Yeah.
So
I know. So many of our insecurities are from childhood or things that happened or peers or whatever. And you can heal yourself. I think the biggest thing for me was, like, because you and I, when we were talking before, I had an eating disorder, and as a teenager, I went through a lot. Like, was down to 93 pounds when I was 16. It's crazy. And I look back, like, it took me. I had to almost go back to those years and heal it. And Tony Robbins says Tony Robbins says we have a CD in our brain. And I didn't really understand what he meant when it's like deep grooves of things from our past or our childhood. And he said, you can actually take that out, put a nice fresh one in there, make new grooves. And it's a lot of work, though.
It is.
To heal those from the past, like how you feel about yourself, like damaged parts. And it's no one's fault. I always look at people like that try their best with what they have. So my parents, loving parents, they raised us the best they could with what they had, but things happen and now I have to heal myself, and then right. So,
well, and that's the thing, is understanding that the people that came before us that taught us these things were taught by the people that came before them and the people that came before them. So a lot of times it's family trauma that's been handed down for generations, but our world is so much different than the world was 150 years ago when this trauma started. So, it's really, that's just it, is reprogramming your mind. A lot of people feel that I work with, especially, feel that the way that they are is just the way that they're always going to be, or the way that they feel about themselves is just the way that it has to be because of whatever. And it's very actually interesting to see how quickly people can actually think outside of what they believe. There's a big difference between belief in yourself and fact. And most of what goes on in our brain is not fact. Most of what goes on in our brain is subconscious belief, and it's just been programmed into us. And it is hard to face the traumas and the deep-rooted fear to get to where you want to go, but without doing that, it's just piling dirt on top of rotten roots. Right? Like, you have to get in and you have to dig, and it took me a while to get all my nasty, dirty roots dug up. But man,
if someone says they don't have any, I don't know. Right?
It's like people who say they love being pregnant. No. I'm sure there's some women out there. Yeah. But it's like, I remember those last stages of like, get out. But I kid.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's different for everyone. And
I hope during this time when we are self-distancing that women can learn to love themselves, love exactly as they are, and forgive themselves if they have a day when they eat too much, or just because it's a weird time, and it's important to love yourself. I love you put I love this. You put fear. I wrote it down. I don't know where I got it, but I know you said this. Fear is face everything and rise. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it's better than face everything and run. That's what fear usually is. Yeah.
Face everything and rise. And also you said the moment you decide to embrace your imperfections is the moment your life will change. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna read your book. Super excited.
I'm scared, I'll tell you, but that's it. Fear, right? Like fear is it's just the subconscious belief of,
You're scared for the book to come out? For the book to come out?
I'm not scared of the book to come out. My deep-rooted fear is judgment. That's my deeper, and that will always be my fear, because that's just what I've dealt with my whole life, and I faced it many times. And it will always be the thing that I'm most afraid of is judgment. We all have something. The gurus, the people that are freaking killing it out there, all the self-development, Tony Robbins, I'm sure, has fears. We all have them.
Yeah.
But it's doing the thing despite the fear is when you rise. Exactly.
And turning fear into courage, right?
Exactly. So I'm afraid. I am scared to put my book out, but I think everybody would be, right?
Let me tell writing. Everyone who's watching this has watched it to the end. This girl, I researched her a bit before she came on here, and I was like, I can't wait to read this book. So you better just get it out there. I'm excited.
Okay. So my book it's with editing right now. It's almost done. It's called Perfectly Imperfect, and it's my story of basically my journey of how I came to love and embrace my imperfections. As well as the second half of the book is how I did it. So amazing. I'm not just going to read, you're not just going to read the book and be like, wow, Vanessa did really good things. It's going to be like, wow, I want to do this for myself. Like if she can do this, I can do this.
Yeah.
And the second half of my book really walks through, not in full everything that I've done, because that's more of like a dictionary, but just to show you, like, these are really easy steps that you can implement in your life every single day, and will grow your self-esteem and begin your self-love journey, or begin setting yourself free of whatever holds you back. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited.
I'm so excited too. I'm going to put your website in the comments, because it's VanessaMcWilliams.com. It's a beautiful website. And people can go there. And I am honestly it was so great to meet you. You're incredible. And thank you for joining me. I'm going to end with a quote of another one. Vanessa, her passion in life is kindness. She believes that everything done with kindness has the ability to help change the world. So let's all go out and be kind to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.